This video will give you some helpful information on how to harvest sunflowers from crop readiness all the way through to the final sample that you should achieve. With crop readiness, it actually starts right from planting time. You have to make sure that you have good, even plant populations. That will make it easier to harvest in the long run. When 90% of the crop is dry and 10% of the heads are still green, the crop is ready to harvest. This will probably give you a moisture content of 10 to 11%. Your receival standards are 9%. When this goes into the silo, it will dry down to that level. Unfortunately, if you try to harvest over 11 to 12%, you will find it very difficult to set your header, as you will get a large amount of straw from the stalk and the leaf, which will make it very difficult to get a good sample. For the header, you actually need special attachments to the front of the header, which you have to assemble on the header before you even enter the paddock. With the rotor setup, you need your rotor or drum spinning as slow as you possibly can. Use it usually at 250 RPM. You also need your concaves to be set as wide as they possibly can. You also need your concave to have large wires in it to allow the sample to go through. Your fan needs to be set at 850 to 900 RPM with the top sieve set at 10 to 12 mil and your bottom sieve set at 4 to 6 mil. Whilst you're doing this, you need to make sure that you don't have your spreaders in place so that you can see what is actually on the ground. Often you will find there's a large amount of seed there, but also that seed may have no kernel to it. If that's the case, it is not a problem. You have your header set correctly. If there is a large amount of kernel in those seeds, you need to go back and readjust your header. From there, we need to look at what sample you have in the bin of the header. You have a receival standard of 4%. Now that is 4% of seed that is not whole or any trash that's in the sample. These two samples here are straight off a header. This sample here is 2% admixture. This one here is well under 1%. So they are quite suitable for the market. With the maximum percentage being 4%, this sample here is 4%, right on the maximum limit. This one here also is 4%, so be very careful when you're looking, because there may be a large amount of fines in the sample which you won't see when you first look. You should be able to achieve a sample of 1.5% quite easily. To improve grain sample, you can add perforated sheets like this to your machine, which will take the fines out of your repeats and clean grain elevators. Some harvesters also have the same sheet on their outloading auger. This will reduce the admixture in your sample. One of the hazards of harvesting sunflowers is the possibility of fire in the header. To reduce the risks of this happening, you must ensure that you keep your header clean, blow dust off the machine as often as you possibly can, a couple of times a day at least. This includes the radiator and the exhaust system of the engine. Once you have actually cleaned the header itself, go back to the exhaust system and clean it again, as it may have accumulated dust in the cleaning process. Check all bearings at the same time to make sure that there's none that are getting hot. Ensure you have one fire extinguisher very close to the cabin so that if there is a large fire, you will be able to exit. Also, make sure that you check your insurance policy, because some insurance companies stipulate what fire extinguishers you need on your machine and where they need to be located. If you have a powder extinguisher on your header, make sure you do not use it in a confined space. You have a large amount of money invested in that machine. The last thing you want to happen is that machine to burn to the ground. So there's some tips on how to set your harvester to harvest sunflowers. For more information, go to storedgrain.com.au.